Hello and welcome to our meditation. And for today, I'd like to emphasize sitting in meditation in a holistic way. Sitting in meditation in a way that doesn't select out of our holistic experience something in particular to be preoccupied with. Something selective that keeps the whole out of the picture. And most times when we're preoccupied with me, myself, and mine, we've selected something in our experience. We've selected something in who we think we are that we think we're supposed to focus on and be concerned with. And we leave out a lot. We might leave out our physical body because we're so involved in thoughts and we're not really embodied. We might leave out our emotional life because we're involved in some kind of story. We might be involved in feeling preoccupied with what's pleasant and unpleasant. We might be concerned with stories. We might be concerned with our ideas of what meditation is, and it narrows the field. And the idea in mindfulness meditation is come into a place that awareness is broad, awareness is holistic, that all of who we are is allowed to just be present in a nice way. And in both the early Buddhism and later Buddhism, they use an expression to kind of point to this wholeness of things that are not part of this selectivity that narrows this field of attention. And they call it suchness or thusness. And the idea is to sit in meditation and just be thus, just be such, without selectivity, without narrowing down, without leaving things out, and maybe even without trying to include things too much. Just kind of to be present in an open, full, kind of embodied, heart-bodied, mind-bodied, embodied, hearted way. And to support that, there's an art to being embodied. There's an art to being with the breath, where it's not selecting one thing out of the whole, but rather it's placed at the center of the whole. And in that center, to be grounded so that we then can include the whole out of that center. So I don't know if this makes sense what I'm saying, but let's try with meditation. So to assume a meditation posture. And there's a way of the posture you take, no matter whether you're standing, sitting, lying down, the posture you assume, to be careful with it so that there's a way in which you are intentional, the way that you are caring for your body and your posture, that you're beginning to gather yourself into your embodied experience. And the posture can be a help to that. If we sit in a way that's so relaxed against the couch, and it's going to be quite nice, but it might not be as much as engaging the body, so something wakes up, that a feeling of vitality or life. Many people are focused on sight and eyes. that might limit the fullness of the experience here and now. So there is a tendency in meditation to suggest closing the eyes for the purpose of quietly feeling and sensing the body more fully. And as we feel the body, you might become aware of places where there's tension, tightness. It's okay, but at the same time, tension is a sign of something in your mind, heart, body is over-selecting, over-focused on something that causes a tightening. And as you exhale, to relax and soften the places of holding in your body. Relaxing in the rhythm, with the rhythm of breathing. Maybe relaxing on the exhale. If your body is still, maybe the biggest movement in your body is the movements of breathing. Not movement that's separate from the whole body, but movements that's like the waves in the ocean, swells in the ocean that rise and fall, that are completely part of the ocean, part of the whole. So feel the rising and falling with the movement of breathing. And if you have a sense of being grounded, settled in your breathing, settled in the grounding spot from where breathing begins and returns, the expansion of breathing in, the swelling of the wave, feel or imagine that it grows to fill your whole body. And as you exhale, your whole body follows the exhale back to the grounding spot, the settling spot at the end of the out-breath. One of the primary ways in which we select out of our whole experience something in particular is through our thinking or through our emotional responses. As you breathe, being aware of the whole, whatever arises, whatever appears, gently, quietly say or imagine saying, yes. Just say yes as a way of inviting it to be part of the whole, not to be caught in it, preoccupied by it, but yes, this too can be part of the whole. Saying yes as an alternative to being caught and involved in a limited experience. Saying yes to include into the whole. one of the ways to allow the wholeness of who we are is not to define ourselves, not to select some part of who we are as more important than other parts, or less important than other parts. Not to avoid having ideas of what we should be doing and shouldn't be doing, that somehow obscures the simplicity of simply being here, whole, with everything of who we are allowed to work together. A big yes to all of it. And then as we come to the end of the sitting, to feel for a few moments, even if it's with the help of your imagination, what it's like to allow all of yourself to be here, peacefully, because to be caught up in greed and desires, aversions and resentments, that's a way that limits the whole. It's a way of being selective. But to be here whole, yes to all of who we are, for a few moments here, peacefully allowing it all to be here. And then imagine looking upon others the same way, being careful not to define others, not to reduce them to some particular aspect of being human that you're preoccupied with it. Where they're not the object of desire or aversion. Seeing the whole, others as whole. Allowing them to be fully there, not limited in any way by our gaze. And in the wholeness of the other, wishing them well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free. Thank you. Hello and welcome to this Friday talk on the series on insight. And for those of you who've been following the whole series, today's talk might make a little bit more sense. So I'll start with an analogy. Say that somehow, maybe through meditation, maybe after a nice day in the park, napping under a tree and being content and happy, safe at home, everything's affairs are settled for now, and just content and happy. And there could be a feeling that it's fine just to be alive and just being present, and all of who we are is allowed to be there. We're at home with ourselves, and the mind is quiet and peaceful. Maybe it's gotten very, very quiet and content, kind of happy, but the kind of happiness doesn't require any thinking about something. Not happy about something in the world and reviewing it, but just simply happy to be alive, the vitality of goodness coursing through us. And it's taken a long time to get quiet and peaceful, settled, maybe a long period of meditation practice to really arrive at a place of being peaceful, calm, settled, at home with ourselves, not preoccupied by things. And then, somehow, just spontaneously, unbidden, a thought arises. And the thought is that I might think that, wow, I've been alive for a very long time, but I've never really taken a good look at the back of my elbow. I can't really see it so well. Even if I hold up my elbow to the mirror, it's not quite right. And I don't really know what my elbows look like. Maybe my elbows are not up to snuff. Maybe they're not really that beautiful, and maybe they're even deformed. I wonder what people think about my elbows, and maybe I should always wear long sleeve shirts because my elbows are maybe not quite the right elbow for being a human being. And so here I was, peaceful and calm and settled. Maybe a kind of subtleness that can happen in a long retreat. Things are very peaceful. And suddenly I have this really interesting thing to think about, to be concerned with. I mean, it's so important. My elbow, the back of my elbow, and I lose my peace. I lose my settledness. Now I'm caught up, and should I have plastic surgery to fix my elbow that I don't even know what it's like back there? Maybe it's too wrinkled. Maybe I'll get the wrinkles taken out, or maybe it's the wrong shape. So to get caught up in something like that, silly as an example as it is, it's clear that something is lost. It's clear that the quality of my inner life, quality of my mind, has now decreased, being caught up and tied around this topic that I've never, in my decades of life, I've never been caught and preoccupied by my elbow. And now I realize I've lost time. I could have spent a lot of time being caught up with that, and I better make up for lost time. It's all kind of ridiculous. There's a better place to be. There's a better settledness, a better peace, better quiet. And if I can watch, if I'm really, really quiet, peaceful, content, and if I watch the elbow or some thought or something like that begin to arise, I can see how I'm beginning to be stressed, see how there's a loss. And I can say, oh, no thank you. Or I can say, in a certain kind of way, yes to it, not to continue doing it, but yes to not be involved in it, yes to allow it to kind of spread out and dissolve into the wholeness of who I am. So maybe there doesn't have to be a no, but there is still not, the yes is an alternative to being preoccupied, being caught in it. And there's a wisdom that I'm better off being more whole, more settled, than being caught in something. So as we meditate and as we go into samadhi and deeper insights and all this, we start having this kind of wisdom. And we see that there's a loss. We see that there's actually something gets diminished by being caught up in me, myself, and mine. That we're involved in mine, this is mine, this is my possession, this is for me, like this is my elbow, I have to be responsible for my elbow. Maybe I've done the wrong things for my lifetime, and really a lousy elbow care for the elbow, and who knows? I don't know I haven't actually taken a good look at it, but certainly now and I see clearly that thinking it's my elbow and being caught in all the idea of my and possession and what it means is a diminishment of my wholeness, diminishment of my well-being. And so that we can start seeing that in all kinds of ways that aren't just the elbow, but it could be aspects of our body that we get narrowed and clamped down on. Probably there's parts of our body. Most people get preoccupied about something about their body sooner or later in life. Or maybe it has to do with our opinions. Our opinions are important, and maybe it has to do with the hurt we've experienced, or the regrets we have. Maybe it has to do with our plans for the future. Maybe it has to do with our identity. That this is who I am. This is my role. This is, I'm smart. I'm not smart. I'm this way and that way. And so now we get caught up in that. I'm unlikable. So some of these identities, some of these evaluations of ourselves could be accurate enough, but from the point of view of samadhi, we see how we diminish ourselves, we harm ourselves, we lose the sense of wholeness by being preoccupied by issues of identity, the issues of self-evaluation, measuring ourselves, thinking about our worth. So there's a lot of constellation of ways in which we get involved in self, me, myself, and mine. We start seeing, oh, that hurts, ouch. Or we start seeing that it diminishes us. It starts selecting out some part of the whole, and we lose the sense of wholeness. One of the ethical kind of words in Buddhism is wholesomeness. And I like to think of it, that which is part of the whole. And unwholesomeness is that which is not part of the whole. And for the Buddha, greed, hate, and delusion are unwholesome, because to lock into greed, lock into hate or delusion, we lose the whole. Things like simple, unattached generosity, love, kindness, equanimity, that these things are called wholesome because they connect us to the whole. There's a kind of a yes to the overall flow, the overall sense of being here, that we're not dividing up the whole. There's, of course, there can be greed about generosity and greed about love, clinging to it, and that divides the whole. Then we lose some of that wholeness. Freedom in Buddhism has a lot to do with not having anything that limits us, any idea, any clinging, any attachment that divides us up from the wholeness of who we are. And a lot of this emphasis on focusing on understanding self is to understand how selfing, the activity of constructing ideas of mine, constructing the ideas I am something, constructing the idea of this is my true self, that we start seeing, we don't answer the final philosophical question, what's wrong? Shouldn't we have something which is self? Shouldn't we have something that's mine? Isn't there kind of a self in there after all? Putting aside the philosophical issues, what I've been focusing on this week is what we add that is extra. What do we add that's actually, there's actually a loss by the preoccupation with this? How do we construct self? How do we construct ideas of mind? How do we construct some ways of our value and who we are? And and to start seeing how that operates is insight. To see how it operates from a place, a vantage point of being settled, peaceful, quiet, feeling at home, feeling a kind of sense of wholeness, allows us to see, gives us a vantage point that's invaluable, that sees a contrast between that sense of settledness and becoming unsettled, because we're now caught in the whole world of selfing. And the world of selfing, especially when we sit and meditate, is seen as being an unnecessary place to go. Why lose your peace in a situation where you don't need to be involved in selfing, sitting in meditation? And start seeing this and making these simple choices of going back to the whole, not being involved, not being seduced, not giving a lot of authority to the whole selfing thing that we're doing. In meditation is a powerful way to begin to recondition ourselves and understand more deeply and become wiser. So when we go out into the world, we can track this as well. Maybe not as minutely, but maybe in bigger ways, that we see that when we start thinking about our elbow or something else, I don't need to do that. I've done that enough. Let me kind of relax and be here. As I start to kind of criticize myself or feel inadequate in some way, it's a remarkable thing not to have to argue with that, not to have to debate it, not have to give into it, but rather to see it as a construct of the mind. It's something the mind is producing. It's not necessarily true, not necessarily not true, some of these things, but I don't have to get involved in that all the time. And getting involved in it unnecessarily, this world of self, diminishes us and might take us away from the wholeness of our experience. The wholeness that saturates our whole embodied experience. A wholeness which the tradition of Buddhism sometimes will call suchness. So when someone asks you, who are you? I suggest I recommend you don't actually do this, but just as an exercise, thought experiment. Someone asks you, who are you? To really be kind of stay and honest and appropriate, and you wouldn't answer anything in particular. You're like, I'm a citizen of such and such a country, I'm this age, I'm, whatever, the ordinary things to explain ourselves. But the best, clearest, most complete answer is someone says, who are you? And you say, I am such. Nothing is taken out of the whole. Nothing is selected. We're just such. And we're allowed to be this way. Whole. So, I hope that this makes some sense. The important part that I want to try to convey is not any kind of philosophical point of view, but the very practical use of mindfulness to see the construct of self, the way in that creates stress or diminishes who we are or limits us. And by seeing it operate, we can choose not to be seduced by it. That's a big part of this teaching of self and not self. which will continue on Monday for a little bit longer. So thank you very much, and I'm sure that all of you have wonderful elbows. Thank you.